Hello? Isn't anybody there? I'm a couple of minutes late today. Right, let's just see. Just load me a bobbin. No. Let's have a look. No, I can't see anything there today. What's going on? Slow down a full bobbin. Put that in. It's just been going a couple of minutes. Oh, hello, there's one person. Two. Hello, Sharon. I was a couple of minutes late coming on today, and then I hadn't ironed something I needed to, and I wondered where everybody was. What have you all been up to today then? I guarantee that you haven't been to the beach or the park and sunbathing. Hiya. Loved your makes that you showed me, Sharon. You've certainly been busy. Quiet, then all of a sudden appears 2 or 3 projects, all beautifully made. And hopefully no work today either. Mind you, I've been sewing away because... Hello, Sarah. Hello, Suzanne. I've only just started, so you haven't missed anything. Hi. Yes, I've got all my projects to do for the next shows on the 16th of April. So I thought I'd better get my act together. And I've got a list of things, but now I just need to make them all. And then Hachanda will need to know, probably by tomorrow, what I'm going to do. So I shall have them all in my head. Hello, James. I hope you've got Aurora watching. And Roman as well. Gosh, my mind is going. I keep putting things down and not remembering where they are. Yes, so I've been sewing away. Can you see that star on a red background? In the background, that is in progress. Hello, Jackie. So yeah, I've been quite busy. Had a window visit from my daughter who got me a little bit of shopping, and it's it's just so not right that you can't give them a hug, but that's how it is. Hello, Heather. Heather, the prolific sewer as well. Yes, she's one of the quiet ones too. All of a sudden, well, she'll find a project and it won't make just one. Heather makes 3, 4, 5, 6 and just keeps going. I'm glad you've all got enough fabric in your stash though, because wouldn't it be awful if you'd run out? I mean, I've got some here and I do still post out, but I prefer not to, but if anybody's desperate, I'm sure I can always do something. Or if you live locally, I can put it on the doorstep. But and that's happened a few times lately. But I'm sure you've got plenty of fabric to keep you going well after this fiasco has finished. Hi, Katie. Yes, I'm well today. I hope you are too. I'm really quite enjoying doing these Facebook Lives because it's nice to have a chat with people. Although you put your chat in words and I read it, it just feels that you're there with me, and it's lovely. And it makes me think of all the things that perhaps I've made in the past, or, you know, I've seen a picture of something and think, oh, I'll show everybody that. So it's all good. It's all good. Anyone else having issues with it cutting out? Oh, what, with Facebook? Oh, with the live, is it cutting out? It looks all right on my screen, but I hope not. Hi Jill, let me know if it looks okay. Oh, hello Mary, you found me. Jolly good. Everybody else all right with the way it's streaming through? Yes, keeps buffering today. Oh, shall I move it a little just to see? I don't know. I'm really not very technical. Mind you, when I have an issue, I had an issue this morning. When I'm making a project, I always take photographs as I stitch, so that then I write the instructions. I've got photographs to go along with it, and my camera would not upload. Well, it sent them to the computer, and then it wouldn't allow me to do it. So, I was looking around the camera, I was Googling it, but fortunately I managed to, there was 1,024 on there, and I just thought there might be too many photographs. So I decided I would try to see if I could delete them. Well, I couldn't find the little manual for it, a little handbook. So I Googled that, and it was pretty rubbish, but somehow it came across 4 or 5 photographs, which I thought, well, I don't need those, because I was going to delete them all. And but that would mean that I've got to go through and do the same thing all over again. But those 5 just managed to work, so I quickly uploaded them, and then I deleted everything off the SIM card, and everything seems good now. So belts and braces, I took 1 photograph random to see if it would upload, and it did. So the moral of this tale is, don't put too many photographs, or once they're uploaded, delete them. So I've learned a little from that today. So, what else we've got to say? Shall we get straight on with? Well, no, one thing I was going to say. Oh, hi Trudy. It's taken me ages to find you. Oh, if you always go on the So Totally Trisha page, I know I've got a few pages, but it's the main one that's just called So Totally Trisha. It will always be on there, because I thought there's nothing worse than me going from one page to another, or doing it on just the personal profile. And also, when I do them, I thought I'd stick to the same time of 4:30, so that if you were interested, you'd know where I am. Right. Oh, you caught a glimpse of that that bag that's in progress. Yes, that is from the Le Beau Papillon charm pack, which, as I said, I just have a few because they will be going on to Chanda on the 16th. But I've kept a few back in case anybody would like one. They are £10.50, and they're easily put into the post box, which is very close to me. So just let me know. Now, one of the things I was going to ask is, don't even tempt me to come get fabric. Sarah. I've inspired Sarah to get her sewing machine back out. That is good. If there's any projects or anything you'd like me to show you, if I know how to do it, I'll do it on one of these Facebook Lives. I've had a couple of things, so I've decided, and I'll put it out there, but tomorrow I'm going to do a messenger bag, because somebody wanted me to show them how to make a messenger bag. And then on Tuesday, faux cathedral window. Now, I did a small bag using that technique, and I think the lady who suggested it was just, and you might be the same, you might think, oh, I don't know how to tackle it and how to start. So I thought I would do that on Tuesday. And what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to do one a day at 4:30 in the afternoon, because it looks as though we're going to have loads and loads of weeks to come. Oh, it's stopped now, good. So it looks, oh, good afternoon, Sally. Thank you for tuning in. So, yeah, just let me know what you would like, because there's nothing worse than me waffling on like I am now. Oh, good. Katie says stop buffering as well. Don't know what that was all about. Anyhow, so today's little make. I saw something like this, and I thought, oh, I'm sure we could have a go at making one of those. So, no templates, just a dinner plate, and really, really easy to do. So, based on a circle, and as I said, I just got a dinner plate, we can see that there, which I suppose is about 12 inches across, something like that. So the bigger your circle, the bigger your bowl will be. And all you need is outer fabric, lining fabric, and then I've got a strip to trim the bowl as well. So, and what I would say is that you might think go small to start off with, but I wouldn't. I mean, this one is quite cute. I did the same fabric inside and outside, but it was actually harder to do the small one than it was the larger one. So there they are, they're quite cute. So they could be handy for anything. Just putting your, you know, if you're sewing and you like to put your threads or your little bits of fabric somewhere, you can throw it in there. I might make quite a few more now because they're very quick and enjoyable to do. And the other thing, I have actually quilted it, as in I have stitched through all 3 layers. You don't need to, but if you want to do a little bit of free motion and you're a little bit scared of it, or you know, you want it to be perfect but you haven't practiced much, so it may not be, this is the ideal opportunity to try your free motion because it doesn't matter. Okay, so let's pop those aside. So I have my lining and wadding, and I've already just used a little bit of spray adhesive because I love my spray adhesive. 505 I like to work with, but I've adhered that to the wadding so that that's nicely attached. What I could also do, if I had got one close to hand, bear with me a minute. Put this one here. It's becoming empty, so I'll just, as well, because we're going to quilt through all the layers, I may as well put a little bit of, that's the one I like to use, oh dear, 505. So I spray the wadding on both sides, put one side on first, and then put the other piece, the lining fabric, on the other side. So all I'm going to do now, and I'll do it fairly swiftly, is I'm using the largest stitch I can, and I'm just going to stitch, I'll trim that because I can see that's a little bit bigger there, but I'm just going to cross hatch basically, and I'll do fewer. So and I haven't even put a walking foot on because the actual wadding is quite, it's the thinner sort, it's a compressed polyester, and I'll just do them widely spaced. So if you have one of those little arms that you can stick into a walking foot so that you gauge it exactly, absolutely fine, use that if you like. But I'm just looking, and I'm just watching the row that I've stitched already, and just going down there, looking as though it's roughly about the same distance apart. And really it just gets you used to doing quilting. Now you may think I'm doing it very quickly and eyeballing it, but I am using the biggest stitch. Well, I've got a 5mm stitch, so which is why it's going very quickly across. So I do all the straights in one direction, and then I turn it so that I can do completely opposite. So you could do diagonal cross hatching if you wanted to, but just for quickness and ease, I'm just doing the square cross hatching. And I haven't gone close to the edge because we'll put a binding around there. So with the binding, because we are working around a circle, it does need to be cut on the bias. And that way it will just hug nicely around the edge of the bowl. And that's why I'm being able to do the quilting now. I mean, I wouldn't even contemplate doing it separately, but these raw edges around the edge are all going to be covered, so there's no problem with that. So I'll just trim where I had extra fabric. I mean, sometimes even if these circles are exactly the same, it could move a little bit because of the quilting. But if we just take those away, just so that we've got a nice smooth edge with all the lines, or the edge is a smooth curve as opposed to a little bit bigger here and there and knobbly bits of wadding. Just take those bits off as well. and trim that a little bit. Okay, so next bit I can leave, because we've got to get that gathering, so I can leave my machine on the longest stitch, because that's what you want, because what we're going to do is a gathering thread. So I'm just going to see if I can get my, just have long threads, because this is as if you were doing your gathering by hand. So if I want to have some long threads from the tails. So if I just put my needle down, pull that up, that's it, and draw my threads out. So I've got probably about 3 inches of thread, tuck it to the back, and I'm going to stitch probably about 1/8 of an inch from the edge, and I'm just going to go all the way around, and fairly carefully, because you don't want to come off the edge, because when we draw these threads up, they you need it to be one continuous line of thread. So fairly steadily, and don't do what I did first of all, and that was stitch over the beginning, because that doesn't work. So you want to stop probably, well, fairly close to, I'm going to stop 1 stitch away, then lift the needle, pull away, and again leave yourself, you see that there, some longish threads. Now I'm also going to do just the other side, just the inner side. I'm going to do another row as well. Now this time also, now you've got your long threads from when I pulled them out. Also, I don't want to cross over. I want to stay fairly close, perhaps millimetres apart. So I just go even slower around here, because the reason for doing 2, it does give a better gather. So if I was making a skirt or a little dress, something like that, I would do exactly the same, do 2 rows of gathering threads. But as I say, one is it gives a better gather, but secondly, you've got 2 threads, and if one breaks, it's not quite the end of the world. Whereas if you're gathering up with 1 thread and that thread breaks, you've got to start all over again. Okay, let's just trim that off. So you can see here, it's about 1/2 inch apart there, but you can see the 2 lines of gathering threads there. Okay. Now is the little, so what I'm going to do, make sure you get 2 strands from one side. Don't try and get one from the back and one from the top, and we'll just hope that's it, that's pulling out. So I'm just pulling that along, and as I pull it along, I'm going to hold it in this hand and just spread it a little bit further. And I'm only going to work on half at a time. So I shall pull this side to about halfway. So you can see as I create a gather, I'm moving it along, and then pull a little bit more. Don't do too much at one time. It doesn't, if you did a running stitch with just an ordinary needle, there's far more give in that, and it draws up a lot more smoothly, but because you've got the 2 threads, it does take a little bit longer to move that round. So I see, and because it's going through wadding as well, so just keep moving that, and then when I can see just a little bit more on there, I'll start on the other side as well, on the threads to the other side, and I'll pull from the other side, and so that the gathers meet to where I left off. So just move that, and the idea is to get a nice even gather around the outside. So as I say, not too harsh with the threads, because I don't want them to break. They feel, perhaps it's the heat today, they don't feel as easy as when I did these yesterday. Okay, I think I might leave that just there. There's perhaps a little bit more than half. I'm just pulling that around, gathering it in my hand here, so I've got some tension, because obviously I don't want to pull it back to where it came from, and allow so that the gathers go or disappear. And then rather than just leaving that, I'm going to pop a pin right where my tails are, and I'm just going to wrap the thread around that in like a figure of 8, so that as I pull from the other side, it doesn't start pulling back out again. So let's see, I'll take the threads from the same side, which was my outer edge, and start pulling those up. Oh, that one's gone. Let's just see. Dum-de-dum. Let's just pull that up. One of them just kindly broke for me. So let's just pull up. Oh, there it is. Okay, so I've got both of those from the outside edge. Just pull those round. You know, you could do this with a strong thread and just an ordinary hand sewing needle. There we go. It's going now, and it will probably take just as long to do it like that. You may think that hand sewing takes a while, but that's moving. But you can see the gathers appearing now. Let's see who else is there. Nice bread basket or sweet, yes, just yes, very nice. Or Easter eggs. Do you know, I was looking online because I suddenly thought Easter eggs for the grandchildren. Oh my goodness. At which my husband said, oh, don't forget me. He's like a grandchild, I suppose. But I thought, I know, I'll go online and order from Thornton's. So he then said, oh, what about, he likes to get one for his sister. What about Hotel Chocolat? Well, I went on there first and they've stopped taking orders. So I think I'm a bit late. So I thought, oh, well, there's always Thornton's. Went on to Thornton's. Thornton's has stopped taking orders until tomorrow morning. So you can't even put them in your basket so that the order's ready to go in the morning. So I just thought, well, I should be a little bit more organised, shouldn't I? But I'm not. So that was a little bit of a disappointment because I'm not going out. And also I shan't be having our Easter egg hunt like we normally do. Oh, lots of people now. Let's just have a look back. There we go. Right, wishing you oh, thank you, Alison. Well, Easter, it won't be the same. On Easter Sunday, I usually have all my children and the grandchildren down, and we have an Easter egg hunt in the garden, and my mum and dad, great-grandma and great-granddad come round as well, and great-grandma and myself hide all the eggs around the garden. In the early years, so my eldest grandchild is 9 now, you should have seen the adults, the parents. They were like the children running around, but now they sort of a bit more laid back and let the children go for the Easter eggs. But obviously it's not going to happen, so we will have Easter at some point, but it will be delayed. But husband says he's cooking Easter dinner. Oh, if you knew him, you would... he's never really cooked in his life. A jacket potato would be the thing that he would do, but that's about as much as. Okay, right. So at the minute I'm going to just do one little bit more. Let's see. Marie is watching. Hello, Marie. Hello, Angela. Hello, Sheila. Hello, Anne. Getting used to my whoops. Tell me if the screen moves. That's when I touch the stand and it wobbles a little. Yes, Easter baskets for the kids. Okay, I've only just come through on Facebook. Yeah, sorry, I was a couple of minutes late today because I was stitching and time goes so quickly. Hello, Annette. Nice to see you again. Hello, Sue. Hello, Susan. And Babs. Hello, Babs. Babs down in Devon, I believe. I can think of that address, which is quite short and to the point, but it always gets there. Okay. Right, let's just draw this up a little bit more here. So I think I'm going to stop there, but you can see how that's working. The more you pull it in, the smaller your circle, but the deeper your sides will go. But that's given a nice curve on there. Now at the minute, it doesn't matter that my outside fabric is on the inside because I can turn it whichever way. But what I'll do here, where my gathering threads are, again, I'm going to pop a pin and just keep those threads taut and wrap them around in a figure of 8 on another pin. Okay, and then we can just move those gathers around so they are as even as they could be. I mean, they won't be absolutely perfect because it will move just a little bit, but just even those out like that. Okay, and just set that aside a moment. So I then got, as I was saying, some bias binding. So you could use ready-made bias binding, or you can cut your own. So I don't know if you've cut your bias binding before, or your bias strips, you can see it's got stretch in it. And the reason, because this is circular, I need to have some stretch in my binding at the top. Unless you want it to sit absolutely upright, which I suppose you could do, but I wanted it to sort of go around and it sits really quite nicely. You can see also I've done the cheats method of using a zigzag, so you could straight stitch along here as well, but I won't say I'm an absolute perfectionist, but it does bug me if when I'm turning a binding over, like around the edge of a quilt, I always do the the turnover by hand because I want it to be perfect first time. Whereas if I were to use a sewing machine, which yes would be quicker, but I guarantee there'd be some of my stitching comes off of the binding and some on, and that would bug me. So I like to use foolproof methods where I can. So I've used on this occasion 2 1/4 inch strip, and then I've just folded it in half. And on one end, where it was diagonal anyway, but I would cut a diagonal and then fold about 1/4 inch over and press it and then fold it in half, and then we'll use that as it is and I'll show you how. Now at this point I would also, rather than just leave the gathering as it is, I'm going to zigzag. So I'm going to use the biggest zigzag which I can, and just so that it holds those, just moving that up, just so that it holds all those gathers in place rather than having those pins in. So you can squash it down, and also when I'm doing the zigzagging, I don't want my zigzag to go any further than those gathering stitches because I don't really want the stitching to show. You could always pull the gathering out afterwards, but it's just easier if it doesn't go over in the first place. So you can see how big they are by the speed at which that is going around. Okay. And what you'll find, whereas normally something like this I would use the free arm, so I'd take any accessory tray or extension table off of the machine. It's just coming out. But it's not deep enough, the bowl isn't deep enough for it to go over there, and that's because I tried. So I can trim these threads away now. So what we do is squash it down so that we can put the binding around the top. Okay, so that looks fine to me. Now, one side is going to be the right side and one is going to be the wrong side, or the outer. So with my outer, I want to stitch the tape to the outer. So I'm going to put the raw edges, again, in actual fact, it's the right way round for me. So I'm putting the raw edges to the edge of the bowl, but I am going to leave 2 or 3 inches there. I'll just pop a pin in there, and as well as I can, I'm going to always match the edge of the binding to the edge of the bowl. And I find it easier to stitch on the inside of the bowl. So at the minute that's the inside, although it's going to be the outer fabric, but it is much easier to stitch down, so you're stitching into it here rather than try and stitch around the outside, if you can see what I mean. I'd have to fold it like that and you wouldn't be able to get the next part coming up as easily. Whereas this way you can just roll it round as you're stitching. So let's go back to a straight stitch and we'll go there and just do a standard length 2.83. And as I say, I'm leaving this bit flapping because that's how we're going to join. So you can squash the bowl down, and I'll pop that the other side of the pin so I don't need to, I'm nowhere near. And then I'm just stitching 1/4 inch from the edge and just stopping and starting as I need. And then as I roll it round, I'm just making sure the edge of the binding goes to the edge of the bowl. And I'm not particularly stretching it, I'm just laying that on there. I mean, sometimes when you're putting bias binding around an actual curved edge, you want to just stretch it just a tiny bit, because that's what makes it fit snugly around a curved edge. So you can see there, I'm just rolling that bowl around so that I'm pulling the edge of the bowl so it's in a straight line. Okay, we're about halfway around and I'm pulling that out again. And it's not, even though that's all gathered in there, the machine's not struggling at all with it, so I'm sure you'll be able to do this, you know, with any machine that you have. Let's just have a look. Thank you. What about using a jelly roll strip? Would that work? You could try a jelly, yeah. It's just that a jelly roll strip will be cut on the straight grain of the fabric. So it was, as I was saying, I've used a cut from on the bias, but a straight edge, because it is really straight edge, it would just stand up. The binding would stand proud of it more than this way where it's going to fit snugly around, because it doesn't. Oh yes, nearly went too far. Actually, I'm going to just snip that off a minute, because we'll take that away. So I'm coming up now to where my flap is. So if you lay that down now, because we're going to, and just roughly lay that, what we're going to do, where this overlap is going to tuck into the start of the binding. So I can see now that I'm going to cut it at an angle, don't have to, but I just think there's less fabric in there then, past where that fold is here. That's it. Past there, because we wanted to tuck in with no raw edges shown. So I'm just looking there and I'm just going to cut that off like that. Then I'm going to actually pin this down, because I don't want it to open up. And also this edge here, I did stop just in time there. Just pop a pin so that all the tail is next to the edge, and then we will place that the piece that we're working on now and replace the pin, and then, as I said, we'll tuck that into the fold, that diagonal fold, and I'll pop another pin just there. So if you're doing, it's how you would do around your quilt as well. You see that around there. Then I'm going to start again, and I'll start just in front of the stitching, so where I have already stitched, just so I don't have any weakness there, and just hold the pins in till the last minute and take them out just as I go. If you leave them into the last minute, it means that there's no way that the fabric's going to shift. Whereas if you take it out just before, it could move a little bit. So I can now trim off that little bit there. I'll have a look to see that I've roughly, if sometimes you can go off a little bit, it's just got a little bit there, but I'm just going to trim that so it's basically even the whole way around, and don't want any of those edge bits. That's a little bit higher there. Smooth that, that looks okay. But you want it to be the same distance the whole way round where you can, because when you fold the binding over, really we would like it to be the same the whole way round. So now I'll turn it to the right side. Then you can lift that binding up and get that stray thread and just fold that over. And you'll notice on the inside then that folds over your stitching with a little bit of leeway. So you could, at this point now, you could stitch in the ditch. So you could stitch in that seam there and hopefully catch here on the inside. But as I said, this is what would bug me. It will probably stitch some on and then some come off. And I don't like that. So a zigzag stitch is a good option. But I would pop a pin, because we want that to be even all the way around. So I can see a little bit of my stitching, my gathering threads there, which, as I say, you can just trim those off. Just put the odd pin. And as you know me, I very rarely use pins, but you know, there are occasions when it is better. It just makes it, although there's a bit of preparation time in popping pins in, it just makes it right first time rather than having to unpick or not quite how you wanted it to be. So, and you know, when I was trimming off the top of the bowl, this is where, by doing that, you get a nice even, you can see how that's quite nice and even along the top, rather than it being a little bit wibbly wobbly. And then just this bit here, that's where the join will be. So you could hand stitch that if you wanted to, but it depends what you're using it for, or if you're gifting it. You can hardly see it. Okay, and just wrap that over as well. Now, as you can see, what it's saying to me is, I want to be stitched on there. So from that side. So what I'm going to do very carefully with all these pins is just turn it back, because I do want to stitch from the top edge, because I want to see where I'm stitching and get that as even as possible. So I'm going to again just go around that edge. I've pinned it all down, and you can sort of pull it so that it goes nicely in line, and you can just keep moving it as you go. So again, as I said, zigzag stitch, and I'll use a fairly open one. Yeah. So zigzag, and just watch that going. So, and as I say, pull that pin out. Now, because it's only a narrow binding at the top, you can actually gauge that going right in the middle. I say that and it'll probably go off, but you can see exactly where it's going as the needle goes from one side to the other. It's going in there right in the centre of my binding. Up to there. Just going around. But this way you know that it's going to be stitching the inside edge. It will all be caught down. There might be a little bit of fabric that is a little bit wider, some bits, but at least you know it's all caught and it's not going to come undone. And because it's a big zigzag, it's you get round the whole way very, very quickly. So you could also do a decorative stitch. I talk a lot about using decorative stitches, but I don't always use that many myself. But it is a good idea, you know, when you've got them on your machine, to use a decorative one, because they're really underused. Okay, just trim those bits away, and without pulling it undone. Okay. So could be a little hat, I thought. So when the children want, or grandchildren want a mock cap because they're going in Victorian costume, there could be one of those, couldn't it? Or it's almost a beret. Okay, hello Andy. And Moya, hello. So there we are. So we've got one, not bad. I think that's just a nice, nice little project. There's number 2. And also, as I said, the small one. by all means try a small one, but now you know how it's made, you can see how, because we're working on a very small circle, it isn't the easiest, but it is quite cute. And also because you can see there, I've done 3 rows of straight stitching along there because it wasn't, I'll show you, look, it's not very good, but it's hidden away. And I think when I went round with the first row, it missed a bit, so I thought we'll do 3 rows, and it's quite, that's, yeah, quite, can you see that's better? It's quite effective having those 3 rows. Okay, right, I'll give you a bit of a close-up look, see if you like this. So, I was saying earlier, for those that have only just tuned in, you can, I will always post it to onto the So Totally Trisha page, so you can catch up with the rest, or right from the start when I waffle a bit. You can catch up then and see if there's anything you've missed. I always download it to it, so you'll be able to see. But I did have this in the background, and this is the charm pack Le Beau Papillon, and I've just made it with a star in the centre. Obviously not finished, so it's back and front and base, just using, as I say, the charms. Now the thing is with the charm pack, there's more often than not, especially if it's a Moda one, it'll have 42 squares, 42 5-inch squares. And so when I have them on Hochanda, rather than it just being a charm pack, I do 2 projects with it. So although I've used a little bit of additional fabric in here, there I shall also be doing a runner with the rest of the fabrics, and I think there's still 2 or 3 left over. So you can get a fair few projects from one charm pack. But it's going to be a little bit like my Miranda bag, which I did like that. So, and I was going to do it without the ties, but I think the ties at the side just give it a little bit more shape. But there we are, that is how that's going to be. So you will have been the first people to see what is coming up in a couple of weeks' time. So, oh well, thank you, Sally. See if you have a little square on top where it fits, you can buy them as an accessory. Ah, is that somebody asking about my little pincushion on the top? When it comes from, yeah, the birds. Oh yeah, the birds are still cheeping in the garden. Better than the music that was blaring the other day. Ah, yes, somebody. Yes, let's see. Oh, daughter's watching as well. Hello, Victoria. And Sue. Sue, it will be, if you want to catch up on anything, it will be on the So Totally Trisha page when we're finished. And yes, now this is probably 3, 4, 5 people. My little pincushion, there's a hole in the top here, which I think will take a second spool. So if I was using a twin needle, I could pop the spool in there to pop your cotton reel on. But it's also for putting this little pincushion. And it is a Janome accessory, as who said, I think, was it Alison said? Or was it? It was Suzanne, yes. It does come from Janome. And depending on the machine, if you've got that little hole, it's a little circular hole there, it will probably go in your machine, whether it be one of these or not. But the M200, 100 and the 50 QDC all have it within their accessories. And I would imagine probably the ateliers have it as well. Or if it's particularly a quilting edition, they will quite often have one, but you can buy them separately. I will say, I know they're not cheap, but I think they're well worth it. Or you could try and make your own little one. One lady the other day, she did make her own, and what did she make it from? I think she made it from an empty Gutermann reel of thread, which I thought was great. I thought I'd have to have a little go at that, but I didn't, or I haven't as yet. So, hi Anne, nearly finished the Lancaster bag. Lovely. The Lancaster bag, that was in the last time I did a Lancaster charm pack, and the bag was slightly different. It was made with the squares, but there's a knack to making that. But well done, Anne. Carry on. Hello, Jill. Hello, Christine. And hello, Carol. Mine had it too, but I haven't got round to buying one yet. Okay. Yeah, it sounds like a plan. Okay, so I don't think there's much more I have to say. What I thought I would do in the next... I am on tomorrow, 4:30, here in the same place, So Totally Trisha page. And tomorrow, by request, I'm going to show you how to do a messenger bag. So it will be doing the basic messenger bag. What I might go on to at another date is how to put on the sliders, so you can make your strap extendable, longer, shorter, because sometimes that is a little bit daunting as well. Hi, Dawn. So I could do that, but so Monday is Monday tomorrow. Yes, Monday I'll do the messenger bag, and Tuesday again at 4:30 I will do faux cathedral window, which is a lovely technique. I mean, you can make lots of different things. What I did a bag using that technique, but you could do table runners, bed runners, make the whole quilt out of it. And the thing is with that, you don't actually have to quilt separately. You're doing it all in one, and it makes a lovely feature. And if you've only got small bits of, or you've got perhaps bought some small pieces of fabric, which is absolutely beautiful, and you don't want to use too much of it, or you want something special, this is a case where those special fabrics can be highlighted because of the way a cathedral window looks. And this being false cathedral window, it's a look-alike, so it does look like it, but it's not made in the traditional way. I might even show you the traditional way, which takes ages by hand. But there's the machine way, and then there's this way as well. So there's always more than one way of doing things, and it depends which way that you prefer to do. So thanks for tuning in again. It's been lovely having your company. Stay safe and take care of yourselves. Bye for now.